Now you're probably wondering, what's the point of wearing a helmet in a small plane? This thing is not going to save you in a proper crash, and I will get to that. But first, this is the Bonehead Aries flight helmet, and I'm going to talk to you about what you get for your money when you buy one, the available options, because frankly I loaded up on more of them than I needed, audio, which I'm sure you'll know is critical in an aircraft, and finally, what's the point? Why do I wear this when I go flying? Okay, so firstly, this is an incredibly niche product. Think about how few people in the world are awesome enough to be pilots, and of that group, how many of those are downright cool enough to need to wear a helmet doing it? And then take away the military and commercial pilots who get given a helmet as part of their job, and you're left with an absolutely tiny number of pilots. So well done you for being part of that distinguished group. But what that means is your choices are going to be very limited. There's no mass production to bring the price down, so it's a big investment. You will pay a price that feels roughly equivalent to coughing up a lung or passing a kidney stone. But hey, if you're flying planes, then you're used to that feeling. That said, the Aries is a piece of art, just as you'd expect at this price point. Each one is custom made to order. There's a 4 to 8 week lead time indicated on their website, and in my case that was accurate, and that included shipping to Australia. My only other experience with helmets is with racing, and compared to a mid-tier Arai GP6 motorsport helmet like this one, it's extremely lightweight. That's good when you're pulling Gs. And the components and the hardware all look and feel like no expense has been spared. The paintwork is flawless, and I hope the camera picks up just how good it looks. Bonehead does custom artwork as well if you're into that. I chose metallic silver to match my aircraft. I did expect the visor cover to be unpainted black, just like this one on their website, and I was happy to see that they painted that cover to match as well. The visor retract mechanism is well thought out. On the right, there's a friction lock, and the knob on the left actuates the visor up and down. And I really like that they've made a reliable mechanism that doesn't require any friction adjustment. A lot of other helmets will need a screwdriver or another tool to adjust friction on the visor, but with this, you lock it manually every time, so thumbs up for that design decision. Now I chose the Aries because it does have this cover, this shield, to protect the visor. I know myself well enough to know I'd probably scratch the hell out of my visor without it. Now, clearance can be a concern in certain aircraft. According to my measurements, this helmet adds about 3 and a bit centimetres to the top of my skull. Really not much more than if I was wearing a headset. So it's very low profile. For sizing, I just measured my head as instructed on the Bonehead website. The one that they've delivered fits perfectly. A bunch of my formation teammates have ordered these as well. Nobody's had any issues with sizing, so you can trust that process. Let's talk about the options, and you can see there's a lot of them here on the order page. So the boom mic can go on either side. Nice to have a choice, but be aware that the cables will still come out of the unit at the back of the helmet in the centre, regardless of which side the mic's on. I went with a tinted visor because I only fly VFR, daytime only, and the tint takes away the need for wearing sunglasses as well. You will fit sunglasses or glasses quite easily underneath the visor. There's also an option to get extra visors, I guess either because you might want to switch between tinted and non-tinted depending on the season, or if you're doing night operations, or in case you want to replace it. I haven't removed my visor, but it looks like it should be a pretty quick job to swap them out. Connectors, I just went with the standard 2-plug GA connectors, which works in every aircraft I've flown, but you may need something different depending on what you fly. One option not listed on the form, but it is mentioned in the description, is air vents. This is an extra couple of holes in the shell, which I thought might be useful in the hot, humid climate of the Gold Coast where I fly. There's no extra charge for that, and you can see those here. Now, audio options, starting with CEP earbuds. I did order these, but I'd recommend that you don't, and I'll explain why in a moment. ANR, that's active noise reduction. I did add this option, and I flew like that several times in my noisy RV with the interior removed, which makes it even louder. Now, I've flown a lot of hours with a Lightspeed Zulu 3 headset, and I found that the active noise reduction in the Bonehead, just using the ear cups, was 90% as good as the Lightspeeds. It was definitely usable and effective, and it's a much lower cost than what you pay with Lightspeed or Bose headsets. It helps that the helmet has a snug fit. I also went with the gel ear pad options, which helps the seal on your ears as well. Not needing to wear glasses because of that tinted visor helps the seal even more. So I was fairly happy with that, and I'm keeping that as a backup option. One more thing about active noise reduction. It does come with a separate battery box containing a 9-volt battery. It's got a rocker switch, so if you're used to Lightspeed or Bose headsets that turn themselves off after half an hour, you'll need to remember to turn this off or you're going to waste a stack of 9-volt batteries. Now, with all that said, what ended up working best for me by a considerable margin was finding a local supplier to make me a pair of custom moulded CEP earbuds. Here on the Gold Coast in Australia, we have an absolute legend named Derek at Plug and Protect. He'll squirt some goop into your ears to take an impression, and then while you wait, he'll turn that into a set of custom moulded CEP earbuds, and they just plug directly into the back of your helmet. They do take a bit of getting used to, but for me, the passive sound isolation you get is so effective, I can't even tell if I've turned active noise reduction on or off. So it's nice to have ANR as that backup, like I said, but if I knew what I know now, I'd probably go without it and save a few bucks. Now, onto the final part, why do I fly with a helmet? Because let's face it, it's not going to do much in your typical fatal air crash scenario. Well, here are my reasons. Firstly, I've joined the Freedom Formation and helmets are mandated. So really the decision was made for me by someone with a lot more experience than I have in the type of flying that I'm now doing. The main risk we're mitigating with a helmet is canopy damage, and the most likely cause of that is going to be a bird strike. We train at lower altitudes on the east coast of Australia, which is home to a lot of birds. Where I instruct on Sundays at Heck Field just up the road, every 3 or 4 weeks I'll have to manoeuvre to avoid birds. We get eagles, pelicans, some other little ones, I don't know, I'm not an ornithologist, but they hang around near the runway and we have had aircraft hit them before. Flying in a single aircraft, they're pretty easy to see and avoid, but in a formation, we can't take evasive action. And unless you're the lead, your eyes aren't looking out the front anyway. And it's not just birds. This recent video on YouTube shows a canopy of a light sport aircraft just blowing out during cruise. Aircraft canopies are only just strong enough to keep the airflow at bay, in this case not even that strong. And of course here's another example of an extra 300 which didn't have its canopy latched properly. In a scenario like this, a helmet is going to contribute significantly to survivability. Now, a second reason that I didn't really consider until I'd started wearing the helmet is that it straps everything you need securely to your head. I'd been doing aerobatics with a hat, sunglasses and a headset, and once you start pushing and get negative Gs, those start to dislodge. It's really distracting and could be dangerous. The helmet takes that stress away, and with a nice big visor, you don't have sunglasses frames obscuring your view either. Combined with the moulded earplugs, I felt a lot more comfortable and secure in the aircraft at the recent aerobatics championships I went in, and I'm sure it contributed to my result. So I'm really happy with the helmet overall and with the great service from Naomi at Bonehead. This video wasn't sponsored or anything. I paid my own money for this and I'd do it again. I'm happy to answer any questions about the areas that you might have, and if you want to see how I went using this helmet in that Queensland Aerobatics competition, click on this. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe and I will see you next time.